Hey, welcome to Dow Stock Talk. In this particular video, I'll be going over how you can invest in contemporary art. A lot of times this is a topic as far as art and investment. Not a lot of retail investors are familiar with it. So a lot of times when you invest in art, you probably have to have a lot of money. So a lot of wealthier people who are wealthy invest in art. But now this platform allows retail investors to invest in famous contemporary art. I thought this particular website was really unique because I couldn't find anything like this. So let me end up showing you exactly how it works. So the name of the company is Masterworks. So here's the thing how it works. So Masterworks, they have a team that have a lot of expertise in picking paintings that will increase in value. So once they end up doing their research, they will end up picking the best paintings the best paintings or art that they think will be good. They'll actually even purchase it. Now, because in order to get to the retail investors, they're issuing rights or shares to the particular painting. They actually go through the SEC, Security and Exchange Commissions, where then they can issue portions of the painting so that investors will have the right to own a portion of the shares of the particular painting, which I thought was really cool. So a lot of times in that time frame, they will end up holding it 3 to 10 years. So what end up happening is once they end up selling the painting, you would get your returns, and the returns will be proportional to how much you end up investing. And they also have a second option, which is pretty cool, which allows you to sell it on the secondary market. So this is pretty much good for liquidity. Suppose you wanted to sell your stake in the painting before they actually sell it, you then have the ability to put it on the second market where someone else can end up buying your portion. I thought this was pretty cool. Now here's the thing about it as far as the buy and selling the shares. So shares will be available 90 days after you purchase it. There's no transaction fees. So for buying and selling, it's easy access. So that's always a good thing to see. Now the management fees, what I consider one of the cons about it, 1.5% fee per year, which is not that bad because for the management fees covers the professional storage, insurance, administrative costs, regulatory filing, and annual appraisal. So that part I'm not really a problem with. But what ended up happening, once they end up selling it, 20% of the future profits will go to Masterworks. The other 80% will be distributed evenly towards investors. So that's the only thing I particularly didn't like. The returns are really high compared to other investments, but the 20% in my opinion is a little high. I would like to see it maybe 10%, 90% be distributed to investors, almost similar to like a REIT. Now I just wanted to jump to look at the returns because I know a lot of times when people are thinking about investing, they're thinking about returns. So the annual performance from 1995 to 2020 for contemporary art is 13.6%. For S&P is 8.9%. For global equity, 7%. For gold, 6.5%. And for U.S. housing, 4.1%. So I was actually pretty surprised at how the contemporary art annual percentage is much higher than the S&P returns. As far as the annual percentage, one could argue that it's a little bit controversial because a lot of times they're basing off of art that end up selling and they're not factoring into all the fees. But nevertheless, this is really impressive. So the correlation, the good thing about it is art is not correlated to the S&P or real estate. So the good thing about it, if you're trying to have a diverse portfolio, adding in the art or contemporary art can definitely allow your portfolio to be diverse. Definitely make it diverse, especially if you have stocks, if you have commodities, cryptocurrency, real estate. It definitely can make your investment portfolio very diverse. And as you can see, the artwork against inflation, so it does really well to fight against inflation or real inflation rates, if you can just kind of look at this particular chart. Now you could also look at it from the loss of frequency from 1995 to 2020. They pretty much states that contemporary art has experienced a loss of approximately only 4% over the 3-year investment horizon, whereas the S&P, it says 24%, gold 40%, so that's pretty much good, and also the loss of magnitude. So like again, and they end up explaining how it ended up working. I already end up going over that one. Okay, and these are some of the offerings, the current offerings that they particularly have. So as you can see, for this particular painting, the initial offering was $9 million. The new appraisal is $10 million, and as you can see, it's up to 42%. So they haven't even sold all the particular shares. Now, for similar work, you can see the price appraisal to similar work is 17% for this one. As you can see, this one, the initial offering, they haven't got the updated appraisal, but similar artwork sold for 18.5%. Useful, as you can also look if you want to look at, for if you want to check that investing thesis of why they particularly were looking at this particular painting, or why they end up choosing this particular painting. They even give you that. You can also look at what you call the deal list. When you open up the deal list, they give you a lot more information about the painting. As you can also see the returns of the particular painting over the years, which is really nice. And they give you all this particular information. That's pretty helpful. In order to purchase these, you have to become a member. So pretty much you just kind of have to call them and say, hey, you know, I'm interested, and then what end up happening is they'll allow you to transfer money into your wallet. But for the current offerings, so these are the ones you have an option to invest in. And also what you can do is look at the past listings. I'm just going to click on one for this video purpose. So if you can look at the deal list, they showed you a little bit about the painter, the historical performance of similar work. So they definitely give you some information on that. Same one for this one. What happened is they issued the shares $20 per share. I do want to mention, a lot of times they do say they would like you to start off with $1,000. But as you can talk to them, they can normally let you start for $500. So for $500, to me, will open up a lot of opportunity for other investors. But they normally end up saying $1,000. So give or take, you can kind of decide whether or not that amount is too expensive. But I think the $500 would kind of really open up a lot of investors where this could be a potential option. As you can see, the track record of this particular fund from them has a 32% historical annual return, which is really high. They have over 150 million as far as assets. As you can also see, you can see the past offerings that they end up having. I'll end up clicking them a little later. And also the good thing they have what you call a price database, so you can check out the historical returns. So I'm gonna just go with a famous one that everyone know, Pablo Picasso. As you can see, it end up showing his work of the return. So this one is 42x return for 9 years, 40x return in 25, 34x returns, 34%, like as far as times your initial investment. That's kind of how you can think about it. So as you can see, these total returns is pretty high, and they have all different ones where you can go back to the search, and you can kind of also look at the other particular paintings and their paintings or drawings, whatever you want to call them. You can look at the total returns. As you can see, these are really high. And as you can see, this particular painting, historical returns, shows the auction sales, the adjusted risk. So it gives you a lot of information. They also provide you with particular articles you can look at, so those are pretty interesting. If you was looking at the secondary market, this is pretty much what you'll end up seeing. And I want to also mention, for the secondary market, once they have like 100% funding, the only way you can get it if someone else wants to sell their particular shares. So if you wanted to end up purchasing it, you would just end up clicking buy. As you can see, this person is currently selling. If you wanted to buy the quantity of 5 of them for $115, my valuable balance is low as of now. But what you can end up doing, you can also provide counter. And what end up happening is you at least have to get 5, because when you say 4, it'll let you know minimum quantity is 5. So as long as you can buy 5 of them, you have the right to end up purchasing them on the secondary market. And also you can see the history of the direct transactions, and you can also see the increase and decrease, which is really nice to see. You can also see the SEC filings for every single one of their artwork. And also I thought this was pretty interesting. As you can see, the art price index that tracks the performance of pretty much the top 100 artwork. As you can see, the art price is much higher than the S&P. This is very interesting. I wasn't familiar with. Also, the thing is, you have to remember price index, it's some of the paintings that didn't end up selling wasn't actually included, and as well as other particular fees. But nevertheless, this is still impressive. Ideally, I would like to just buy this for the art index, but you're not able to do that. So with that given said, I think Masterworks is great. Also, I want to let you know that I will be purchasing a Masterworks, so I will end up showing you my journey and how my overall experience was. And that pretty much concludes this video. If you haven't already, make sure you hit the like button, and if you're new, make sure you subscribe to my channel.